Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw. Today I want to do a topic video about a topic I've had on my mind for a very long time, and that is censorship in metal. We all know it's there, and this is including live shows, what they can or cannot put on an album cover, or if they can add their lyrics into the actual booklet of the album, and all sorts of things. Shirts, what they can say openly about things, basically just being censored by their bosses or being censored by the company or anything like that. So let's have an open discussion about this. Let's not try to have arguments and all this other stuff in the comment section below. Let's have a civilized conversation. I'm curious to know what you guys think about the whole idea of censorship in metal, and if some areas it should be censored or some areas it should not be. Let's just have an open discussion. So the first thing that really sparked my interest about this is the fact that album covers are the biggest thing that I've really noticed that are really censored, because a lot of bands don't have really much issue with putting their lyrical content into the booklet of the albums which you go and buy. But the things that are censored the most are definitely the covers of the albums. And I think the reason why that is simply because when a band signs, on a label, and they're on a label, and the label's basically paying for them to make the album, and then they have distributors to send it out all over the place and online and all that, that maybe they don't want a band that they sign to have some kind of image that has a very inappropriate thing, like, somebody getting tortured or somebody getting raped. I mean, I can kind of see why labels and distributors don't really want to push this kind of product with at least this image out. I don't think that metal record labels, at least for the most part, don't really have an issue with the music, but they may have an issue with the imagery, because we all know that we live in a society now where it doesn't matter what type of picture it is, it doesn't matter what you say, there's always people that have issues, so maybe they're feeling kind of pressure to not push out too many crazy things, and that's why I think on certain cases like Cannibal Corpse, they've had a couple of their albums being censored because they've had some very gruesome photos as their album covers, but they've been censored. And there's other ones that they have not been censored. There's also one in particular that I remember off the top of my head. There's a band called Cattle Decapitation that had an album cover, and it got censored for some reason, and they had to make a lighter version, a version that's not as gruesome. And I'm sure that there's quite a few other bands out there that have albums that have been censored for many different reasons, but you can actually see the uncensored version as you buy the booklet and you actually buy the album, so you can see the uncensored version, but it's not publicly pushed out there and anyone can see it. So for me, on that kind of thing right there, I feel like that for me, some of the album covers that I have seen on particular albums, I do have an issue with, but not to the point where I'm going to go and say, you guys can't do that. You guys can't do that. But for me personally, I may have an issue with it because I don't like looking at that kind of stuff, like people getting tortured or raped or stuff like that. You know what type of album covers are out there. We're not dumb. But I feel like that, for me personally, I have an issue with it. But for the fact that, like, them having the freedom to put it out there, I can't say, that's wrong, because for them, it's not wrong. They want to put that out there. They want to bring the shock factor. They want to do that. But for me personally, I do have an issue with some album covers for a couple of different reasons. But I'm not going to sit here and say that we should censor anything that disturbs anybody. Because for me, all I have to do is just not look at it. That's all I have to do. But in other cases, people probably try to push to be censored. But for me, I have an issue with some album artworks for many different reasons, including rape and torturing and dismembering people. To me, it's messed up. But I'm not going to sit here and say we should censor everybody. I'm saying those images, I can understand why labels and distributors don't want that on the face of albums they're pushing out with their name attached to it. So there's that. Let me know in the comments, especially what you think about album covers. That's a big thing that took up a lot of this video that I've basically inspired me. Live shows. Now, there have been some instances where, well, essentially, they can do live shows if the venue allows them. But in a lot of cases, a lot of people are offended by live shows where, especially I've seen a couple of different videos of Behemoth where they got on stage and Nurgle ripped a Bible in half. There's quite a few different videos that I have seen. And of course, they did it at a public venue. He may have said he was going to do it, he may have not, but then of course the public backlash is, we should stop him. He should not be able to do that. They're trying to censor him from doing that. For me personally, I wasn't at the show. I don't have an issue with it per se, but I do understand why these people have an issue with it. But I really necessarily don't, because for me, it doesn't really bother me because I'm not so attached to that I have to feel bothered by that. But it feels like that at certain live shows when people do like these type of, horror shows during their live shows, that of course people want them to censor and to do certain things they can or cannot do. And it really takes the freedom of the bands when they go out to perform live, to do these things. But venues and, the labels and stuff like that and actual fans want these particular bands to not do these type of shows, to kind of, pull it back. Don't be so out there, don't do these type of ritual shows or a satanic show and all these crazy things going on. For me personally, it's, I think that's a thing where we get to, the venue has a policy, but the band needs to let everybody know up front at the venue what they're going to do. And, if the venue can't accept that, then the band continues on somewhere else. But I feel like on this type of censorship where they go to live shows, where they perform their music, they should have a right to do what type of thing they want to do at a live show, depending on what it is. Now, obviously, the line is you can't sacrifice animals, you can't kill people. Obviously, I think those are lines we should never cross. Because obviously, if you kill animals at a show, like sacrifice them to the devil and if that's the type of band the band's into, obviously you're going to have a lot of issues, a lot of people backlash. You're probably not going to be a band anymore in that sense if you start doing that kind of stuff, because we all know how the world works. But, I feel like that is, at a certain point, there should be, a band should have a lot of freedom with what they want to do live. Now let's talk about, lyrical content and basically shirts and stuff like that the band sells. Of course, there's a lot of stuff that's been put on shirts, like a lot of very interesting and a lot of very disgusting words, as people like to call them, very offensive language, adult language, cursing. I don't have an issue with that, and of course people do because they don't like cursing. But the big thing is that lyrical content. There has been a lot of bands that have, the lyrical content has been left off of the booklet because the labels will not allow them to put their lyrics in the booklet, even though that when you buy the book, you purchased this item, so now you should be able to have the freedom to read the lyrical content, because you know what you got yourself into when you bought the album, so you should have the freedom to read it. But some bands have gotten their lyrical content taken away. You can say it on the album, but you can't print it. We're not gonna print it for you. And I feel like at that, if you're allowing the band to say this on an album, right? Why is he not allowed, or why is the band, or she, in any case, why is the band not allowed to print the lyrical content to go along with the songs for the people to read along and listen to? And then, yeah, I understand that lyrically there's a lot of very interesting and disgusting and nasty things that have been said lyrically through metal. Not all metal's like that, but if a label is going to sign a band and allow the band to say this and scream this and shout this and whatever, they should be allowed to print it. Now, if the label says, no, you can't say that line, we're not going to allow you to say that, you're not allowed to say this, then I understand why they won't print that particular line. But if you're going to sign a band and you're going to give them money to make a record, and you're going to give them the money to play what they want to play, say what they want to say, then they should have the right to let their lyrics be printed in the booklet, that someone buys the album, knows what they're getting into, and purchases it, and reads the lyrics, and not go, bought the album, there's some interesting artwork, okay, they allowed this in the inside of the booklet, once you purchase it, where's the lyrics? Look it up. We're not gonna allow that kind of stuff being printed. Well, then don't let the band say it. That's a very rare case, but I have read, or a particular band, if I remember correctly, Annotations of an Autopsy. That's one of the things, but I've read a couple other bands have had this. But Annotation of an Autopsy had in a couple albums, or maybe it was one album, that lyrically, the lyric book was not there. The book was there, but the lyrics were not there because the label would not allow it. And they were really proud of that. Even though they were still censored, they were proud because they said even Cannibal Corpse gets their lyrics printed in the booklets, but we didn't. So that's all us. So I'm pretty sure that's the band's name that I remember from a long back, but that's a very interesting thing where, you could say it on the record, but you can't print it. It just doesn't make any sense. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section below what you think about censorship. If there's things that I forgot and left out, let me know in the comments. I'll respond if there's anything that I did miss about censorship. But I feel like that really covers it, Album covers is a big thing. live shows in a sense. What you put on, what they put on their merchandise, sometimes that can be censored depending on, what exactly they're putting on the merchandise, and, lyrics in the booklet of the albums, that's another thing as well. It does happen. It's not very often, but it does happen. So let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to know what you guys think, and don't be afraid to, say your honest opinion about these things, because if anybody attacks you, or if I see anybody attacking somebody else for their different opinion about whatever involving censorship in metal, then obviously I'm going to delete your comment, because this needs to be a civilized conversation. It needs to just be a conversation where we're just having a discussion and accept everybody else's opinion. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys soon with another review. Peace.